The last thing I wanted to talk about with functions is overloading functions. And basically what this is that we can give functions the same name as long as their parameter lists are different. So for instance, if let's say we have a function called square. So we have a function called square that's returning an integer, so we're going to send it, so its parameter is so it has one parameter. And then let's say that we have another function called double square, and its parameter is double number. So we can do this because the parameters are different. So we have we have int number and double number. These are different parameter lists. So these functions can have the same name as long as their parameter lists are different. And this is kind of convenient because if we have a program, like let's just say this is calculating maybe the square, and maybe we have a program that sometimes we want it to, sometimes it might be getting an integer and sometimes it might be getting a double. And so depending on what we're giving it, we would want to return either an integer or a double. So this way we can have the same function name, so we're calling the same function, but then we send it either the integer or the double. So if we call this function, like let's say in our code we say square, and then we send it some parameter, so let's just say we send it 6. Well, so that's an integer, so this is going to call the function with the integer parameter. But then let's say we call our function and we say square 3.8. Well, that's a double, so this is going to call the function with the double. So this is just a really convenient way to be able to use the same function name for something that is technically calculating something different, but in our mind, if we're calculating the square, it's the same whether it's an integer or a double. It's just the computer does the math different. So what we can't do is so the way this works is the parameter lists have to be different. So if we did say double square int number, well, we can't do this because now the parameter list, the parameter list for this one and this one are the same. So this isn't going to work. This will give a compilation error. So it's the parameter lists that have to be different. Another thing that we can do that is pretty convenient with this is let's say we have a program that's summing together numbers, and sometimes we might have 3 numbers, sometimes we might have 4 numbers, sometimes we might have 5 numbers. So we don't necessarily know how many numbers we're going to sum. We can have different functions that we're sending different amounts of numbers to. So let me just I think it's easier just to see the functions to see this. So let's say we have a function that's summing integers, and so this one has 2 parameters, so int num1 and int num2, and then let's say we have another one, so this one is the same name, so these are both called sum, and then we have int num1, but this one we're going to have 3 parameters, so we have int num1, 2, and int num3. So this way, if this function gets called in the program, we can call sum, and maybe one time we're sending it a couple numbers, but then maybe another case it's getting 3 numbers. So we're still calling the same function, we're just sending it different numbers of parameters. Well, sorry, we're calling different functions. These are 2 different functions, but they have the same name, so then we can just call sum and send it however many parameters or numbers we have, and it's just going to it's going to run the function for the number of parameters that you send. So the reason why we can do this is because these parameter lists are different. So as long as your parameter lists are different, your function can have the same number, or sorry, the same name.